the kind of history, lots of sexual abuse at different ages, 6, 15, 19, 21, and always very frightening, kind of one-offs. And I'd avoided doing the blessing of the energy centers for a year, and was just doing tuning into new potentials and everything other than blessing of the energy centers, because every time I went to the body, I was just, energetically, it was just like, I just didn't want to go there. And most of my life I've kind of had a, pretended that there's been a strength, and had a lot of shame about if I had been affected by my past. So always wanted to just be, I'm sorted, everything's clear. And so what happened was I'd committed with, I spoke to Carla about HeartMath, as well as doing all the meditations, as an extra to my practice. And I was getting up, I'd committed to doing blessing of the energy centers. I thought, right, I'm just gonna start doing it because the avoidance is not working. And I woke up at 5:30, the alarm got switched about 3 times, because I could feel the resistance, I could feel there was something I didn't want to face this morning. So I got up 7 o'clock, started the meditation, and again it was first and second chakras just was so uncomfortable, so much fear. There was kind of panic in the body, and I was kind of, it was like that kind of animal that's kind of scurrying and just not wanting to kind of rest. And I said, no, I'm gonna be with it. So I did, and I stayed, and I tried to bring divine energy. There was this kind of, because it was obviously a violation, and there was body memory in the thighs and down here. So I stayed with it with all the discomfort, and then I just got a memory of one of the events that happened when I was 19. And it was a termination actually, but the doctor, he was very aggressive and very abusive in the examination, and that was when the abuse happened. And I was it was like a kind of trying to say no to his energy, to that energy. I was trying to do the Gandalf with the staff and just saying, no, this isn't my energy, it doesn't belong to me, but it was there. So there was a kind of a tussle with, what do I do with this? How do I heal it? And I just stayed with it and then went through the other centers, but it was a vivid memory of the event. And so I just stayed with the memory and kind of relived it, but not as traumatically, but as the emotion was there. And then it wasn't until I had finished the meditation, I did all the breath, so I'd been bringing the energy up, and I could feel that, and I could feel the resistance, and it wasn't until afterwards when I then sat up to do the breathing. I did 40 minutes of heart coherence. And I started breathing in love for myself and breathing out kind of love for myself now, so for when I was younger and for now, the woman that I've become. And then I tuned into him and his pain, because when I realized it wasn't my pain and it had come from somewhere, I realized it was his pain. And then I just had this incredible amount of compassion. And I kind of realized we were sharing the pain. And then the whole thing about the no separation. And I just started sending love to him and back. And then all of a sudden, I was in like a chamber. I was sitting as I was sitting, but there were all these bodies around me with their feet towards me, just lying down with their arms like this. And then all of a sudden, one sat up and just looked at me. And it was me when I was 19. And she was just looking into my eyes, and I was looking into her eyes. And it was real. It's like, when Dr. Joe talks about the dimensions, it's all happening. This was happening. This was happening for real. And I just looked at myself, and then I was back in the car, because after the examination I went to my car, And because of the trauma, I was headbutting the steering wheel and kind of hitting the glass because it was needing to get that out of me. And that was what happened however many years ago when I was 19. But what happened on this day was I was listening to some beautiful music, and it was a male voice, but kind of angelic. And I just felt these hands come behind me, 2 hands on the back of me, 2 hands at the front of me. And my mother and I had had a difficult relationship because of the alcoholism, but she came, and it was real. And she put her hands on my head while I was in the trauma of it. So I had hands here, hands on the back, and hands on my head. And the love that I was feeling was just otherworldly, it was very beautiful. And I just stayed with it and just was crying. And then I felt love for him again. And I was back in having the examination, and I just looked at him. And I felt so much love. And I saw him look back at me, and I could feel him feeling my love. And it was just that I could feel that it was like an abstract pain that we've all had. And that it goes through life and it gets passed on and it gets passed, and it's nobody's. It just keeps getting passed backward and forth. And I just thought, oh, this is what I'm here to do, to transform this in this moment. And it's for me, it's for him, it's for my mother's mother. And I just felt this overwhelming, it was like a privilege that I'm here and I'm in a position where Dr. Joe's work's available, and all the stuff that's available in life to help move this. And I looked, my 19-year-old and I were just having a bee with, and we looked into each other's eyes, and again it was real. And we embraced, and I sobbed and sobbed, her tears and mine, and then the love that I felt through my body was just rushes and rushes, and there was movement. I could feel it moving through the body. And what I'd seen as well was that it was very present to when the pain was coming up. This was slightly earlier, and it was like the power of the love. It was like all the pain wanted to do was get back home. When Dr. Joe says pain isn't, what does he say? He says it's not the opposite of love, it's separate from. And it was like it was coming back to source, and that's all it wanted to do, just wanted to do that. And so I felt that as an abstract thing, but it was very beautiful. And how different I feel is most of my life I've been in any situation and there's been terror, there's been the panic underneath. I would have very physical memories. I'd just be walking along the street and it would be bang, there it is, the memory, body memory. And that's not there. And I love being in my body. I feel at home. The other thing that came to me was that didn't happen because I'm bad. Because generally a lot of the time you think, well, why did this happen to me? The victim stuff, it's like, what's wrong with me? I must have deserved it somehow. So the difference is, oh no, that we're just here. It's just, the pain's just there and it just gets batted around. It's not personal, And what's changed is the stillness. And I feel that I can be present in life. And there's just a beautiful, beautiful stillness, and I can access that love for myself and for others. So, yeah.